Welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight on the program, our focus is on the fresh buzz around former President Goodluck Jonathan. A comment by PDP chieftain Professor Jerry Ghana has sparked talks of Jonathan eyeing a 2027 comeback, which is a no-brainer to some political analysts. Well, the presidency has reacted through the president's spokesman, Bayo Nanuga, who has waved this comeback off, blaming Jonathan's tenure for today's troubles. But inside the PDP, his name remains on the table. Even as party stakeholders push for an open contest without automatic tickets. So, is Jonathan really weighing a return to Asarok Villa, or is this just political shadow boxing ahead of 2027? Well, let's speak to someone who understands the intrigues as well as the dynamics of Nigerian politics to help us unpack the issues. We're joined tonight by Professor Udenta Udenta, a seasoned political commentator and player in the Nigerian political scene. Prof, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yes, and I'm not sure it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
We're together. We are back again at it.
I mean, I get the feeling that this is the season, isn't it?
It's a season.
Politics always finds a way to dominate the news cycle.
Absolutely. And one of the most incredible things I've read of late, is actually the statement that Bayo Nanuga issued in the name of the president, because he came from the presidency. It talked about the opposition, a desperate opposition, ganging up to prematurely announce the season of 2027, when it is actually the other way around. I said it to you here in the last time we had a conversation. I've been there all over the platforms that the president and his team, including Bayo himself, panicked. It's that sense of panic that is being manifest today. That everybody now has abandoned governance and policies, and then weigh in with something that is even so far speculative.
All right, let's double down on that. We'll circle back to the Bayo Nanuga comment, but the president earlier in the day, during his speech at the commissioning of certain projects in Imo State, had this to say about his critics and the chances of winning 2027. Okay, we'll circle back to that in just a moment. But let's just double down on the message from Bayo Nanuga. You did talk about how the administration started this thing about 2027,
Absolutely.
Right? But give me a sense of, what you make of that response in terms of the arguments that they're making, because they're saying, listen, Goodluck is not necessarily a new phenomenon in the political arena. So Nigerians have seen him at his best or worst, as Bayo Nanuga is trying to point out. Do you think that there is something there that Nigerians could lean on?
Okay, I don't want to be mischievous, but let me be, logical, at least in this kind of analysis. Professor Jerry Ghana spoke as a proud Nigerian citizen, as a patriot, as a nationalist, and maybe as a member of PDP. He is not the chairman of PDP. He is not the secretary of PDP. He is not the chairman of the board of trustees of the party. Nor is he the secretary of the board of trustees of the party. He made a statement as a Nigerian citizen. And the whole presidency of Tinubu responded to a statement made by a private individual. It doesn't mean that President Jonathan may not be interested in contesting for the presidency, whether he's eager, oiling his machine and machinery, getting his infrastructure ready. That may well be true. But he has not even told anybody. He's interested in the presidency. And the presidency of the country is issuing the statement in the name of the president, attacking his legacy when he has not even publicly decided to contest the next election. That is as absurd as this government has become. You have so many challenges this country is facing. Challenges of insecurity. Look at the casual statement of insecurity. Oh, we are doing the best we can to tame. We are not taming any insecurity. It is spreading. Just a day or so ago, inside this city, a female journalist was gunned down by armed robbers who happened died in circumstances of armed robbery. Entire Abuja city is under the grip of kidnappers and abductors, not to talk of northeast or northwest or north central or southeast or southwest or south on one score. And you're talking about taming inflation. You're taming it on paper, maybe from the statistics of the MBS. It is not in the streets, not in the price of garri or rice or beans, not in the drugs. The list goes on and on. In every single sphere of life, measurable sphere, not propaganda sphere, not manipulated macroeconomic indices or data, but they really live the experiences of the people. This government is in a shambolic state. It has failed completely. So for you as a spokesman of a sitting president, to join issues with Jerry Ghana and drag President Jonathan into the fray, in spite of his silence, and his life for being a former president, being a global leader, being a statesman, operating at the level he's operating, is incredibly normal for people to wish him to be part of this contest.
Yeah, but how much of that, Prof, is fair game? I mean, it's politics, isn't it? And up until when former Vice President Goodluck Jonathan was mentioned in a conversation around 2027, I would assume that the administration has been nice to him, right? But when he stepped into the arena, all these nocturnal meetings with Peter Obi, meetings with David Mark, the chairman of the ADC.
Let's put it this way.
Isn't he fair game at this point?
Let's put it this way. There's nothing stopping the president, former President Jonathan, from picking a pen and writing a statement. I am back into the fray. There's nothing stopping him from opening his mouth and making a statement. I'm back in. I have a platform, a PDP or ADC or whatever, or asking his aides to issue a statement on his behalf. So as a former president, he should go into hiding. He shouldn't visit friends or people who are politically inclined. You see, if it is ordinary politicians talking about his political behavior or body language, I will understand, but issuing a statement in the name of the president, that makes a sense of panic as if it is even much more outrageous than I even imagined. There is a panic around the name of the president, almost as if he picks up the ticket of, say, a PDP, he's game over for the sitting president. Maybe they seem to know it. So they want to drag him willy-nilly into a conversation he may not be willing to be part of at this stage. The primaries of these parties, including APC, to coronate by the president as an APC candidate, is going to be in July, August next year. That's almost a year. For the former president to become a part of this conversation, if it is going to be a PDP, the PDP will even have to hold a convention in November. Put his house fully in order. It's already in order, but completely, put the infrastructure together. And then he will decide on the best possible time to re-engage that partisan level of play.
Right.
It hasn't happened, and yet a statement is coming from the presidency. That's very absurd.
Okay. I mean, let's hear from the horse's mouth, because some would argue that the president's message in Imo earlier today was even much harsher, considering what he had to say about his critics and those championing the cause against his re-election in 2027. Have a listen. Apologies for that. We'll work on the sound to get you the thoughts of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what he said about his critics as well as his opponents, as he continues to double down on how he says the APC is delivering on not just the promise, but the vision that Nigerians imagined the APC would implement since coming to power in 2015, saying that we're not where we were 10 years ago. But the crux of the matter is around the conversation where the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, is once again in the news, largely because of the comments made by Professor Jerry Ghana, who says Jonathan is going to be the presidential flag bearer or candidate of the PDP, and he will win 2027. Let's talk about that for a moment. Obviously, Jerry Ghana is speaking in his personal capacity as a PDP chieftain.
Yes.
But what can you tell us about the body language that we're seeing from inside the PDP, from inside the ADC, from others who are weighing what Peter Obi is doing, what Goodluck Jonathan is doing, and where they might end up in the arena?
I do not speak for President Jonathan. Neither do I speak for PDP. I'm not even a member of PDP. Jerry Ghana is a member of PDP. And I do not speak for Jerry Ghana. But I'm a Nigerian citizen and a student of Nigerian politics and history, and a player in the Nigerian political circuit. Let me amplify the words of Jerry Ghana. If former President Jonathan picks the ticket of PDP and contests the next election, he will win resoundingly. He will be sworn in as the next president. There's no doubt about it. The numbers are there. Even Mr. President, the current president knows it. Banonuga knows it. APC, they know it. Members of APC know it. That's why they're frightened. It is precisely very clear that if you're a student of politics and power in this domain, in this side of Nigerian political play, the geography of politics in Nigeria, will understand why the sense of alarm is growing. In my numerous conversations, with the media on this subject matter, I said, the North will settle this matter because as a Southern leader from the South-South belt, if he steps into the race, the so-called amorphous, bogus, mythologized Southern solidarity broken into pieces, the current president will be taken back into his ancestral root of the Southwest. The South-South will go. If, for example, P2B decide not to throw his hat in the ring because President Jonathan is in the ring, the Southeast will go with Jonathan too. If Jonathan doesn't even contest,
is that even likely in your own calculation?
I don't speak for them, but I'm saying that if this is suppositional kind of analysis, I'm not going to be. I'm giving you the trend lines of what will happen if Jonathan doesn't contest and P2B contests, for example. No matter the platform, especially if it's going to be the PDP, the Southeast and the South-South will heave in one direction. That means the magical unity of the South is completely gone. The solidarity the APC is craving for will be lost. The North will now settle this political contest between two Southern brothers. How will they not settle it? But they look at critical indices. What did Jonathan mean for the North when he was a president for 5 odd years? And what this current president and this current presidency, what do they mean for the North?
Right. But Prof, if you have to take them track record for track record, I mean, obviously, Jonathan was in power for 6 years.
5 years.
I mean, give or take.
People always say, I don't know where the manufacturer is 6 years from.
Give or take.
Take it, no, take it.
Give or take.
Let's give
right?
the history, let's get it right.
Okay, let's go 5 years then, Prof.
5 years.
Tinubu has been in power for 2 years. He still has some 1 year plus to go, right?
Yes.
Do you think at the end of his tenure, he's going to have a better record compared to Goodluck Jonathan?
That is, it's saying, in my place, and I'm sure you have it in your place too, we take eye, see the corn that is ripe. You don't need to pinch it. A corn is like a maize. We take our eye to see the corn that is ripe. We have seen this government in operation for 2.5 years. This government is done with governance and with policy implementation. This government is in complete election mode. All these state visitations is just, tourist attraction here and there. The macroeconomic indices are clearly there. The two key factors: one, the removal of subsidy, and then secondly, the flotation of the naira. These are the two most fundamental policy thrust, possibly beyond the tax reform, which may take effect in a few months' time. Where has the fuel subsidy led us? Confusion even in that industry.
The president was bold to say he's the only president under the current democratic dispensation where governors are not dealing with unpaid salaries because the federal has given the states more in record numbers.
We have talked about this for a long time, not only in your platform, with other platforms too. It is not how much money you collect that counts, but the value of the money in your hand. Buhari didn't owe salaries. Jonathan didn't owe salaries. Basanjo didn't owe salaries.
We're talking about the states. We're talking about the states.
Yes, at the state level. The critical issue is that if you have a naira that is virtually no currency, you have the value of the naira of $1 to one, how many? 150, what was 500?
400 plus, yeah, give or take.
Give or take. That's at the official level, but at the level that where everybody goes to in terms of the parent market, it's almost 1.5, 1,500, okay? To $1. If you collect that kind of money, what does it amount to? You may have a car. Let us give an example about this kind of money you're talking about. You take an Uber, you take an in-drive, you take a boat. For a short drive from this Otago, maybe to central area, how much is that? 5,000, 6,000. You make a return back, 5,000, 6,000. Maybe you take yourself to Masaka or Maraba, come back there, 7,000, 8,000. In a month, you may spend close to 120,000. Where do you find the money? How much do you earn as a salary? So even when you're paid, the salary is a millionaire salary. One department, transportation, has wiped everything out. How about the food? For a family, not only yourself, for a family. When Jonathan was president, a bag of rice was 8,000 naira. Now it's roughly maybe 60, 70, or 80,000, depending. So if you have that money in one drop in your hand, it is millionaires' money. How about drugs? So the idea is that you are punishing the people and putting some money into the hands of the subnational level, and the money that dispenses to the people grossly inadequate for the people to survive. If you have fuel selling now over 800 naira a liter, then it was selling for 87 naira.
I mean, with subsidy.
Liter.
With subsidy, right.
Without subsidy, selling at almost 1,000 naira. With subsidy under United was still at 87. And don't forget, there was something called Shopee. The removal of the subsidy, not all. There was a fuel scarcity, fuel subsidy in the demonstration and protest 2012, if you recall. He backed down from under 145 to 87 and said, okay, the money we will make out of this, we will reinvest it. That's why we have the Shopee reinvestment program in education, in infrastructure, in road construction, in agriculture, etc. And it was visibly manifest. Right. Now, we do not know the practical areas in which this removal of subsidy money is entering. The CNG, whatever you call it, this conversion of fuel into gas and something, they seem to have stalled completely. In the area of infrastructure, we don't know how much money, how percentage of this subsidy removal is being plunged into infrastructure rebuilding, how much into education, how much into healthcare delivery system. We don't even know. The key thing is that this government is all mouth, all talk, but very little action.
Okay. You talk about the track record of the Goodluck administration and what the current administration is doing to, turn things around in the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. Here's the president speaking in Imo. Let's have a listen to what he has to say about his critics and what they are bringing to the table.
Critics, our enemies, can say whatever they want, because they don't know any better. Their arithmetic has always been wrong. We understand financial engineering and progressive methodology much better than they do. That's why we are here. Stay the course. Believe in us, because we believe in you. We trust the future. Today, led by true federalism, there is no state governor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is borrowing money to pay salary. Today, you can drive on roads that are solid, that may outlive some of us. You can dream big. Today, your children are in school. No child should go to bed hungry and not able to study in the university. No child should be excluded from being able to pass and be admitted for higher education. Nigeria is a proud and sovereign nation, but on the resilience of its people.
All right, thoughts of the president there speaking earlier in Imo State during that book launch and the commissioning of some projects by the president in Imo State. Had a lot to say about how the arithmetic of his critics are wrong, how they do not understand the financial or fiscal engineering of his administration, and how there is a need for Nigerians to stay the course and support the APC going forward. I mean, looking at how the APC administration is, able to build on its followership, especially in the southern part of the country, do you think the president's message resonates with people, especially when he talks about how there's a lot more money for the state governments right now to do more for their people? Do you think that message...
If you are given an essay, to write an essay about what Mr. President said, what will you write? I'm asking you, Abdullahi. Let's be honest about it.
You don't think he was making sense?
You listen to him. We can even reverse our role. And I ask the question, provide the answer. What did he say? Nothing. He lives in a bubble. Bubble is when you live in a cocoon. He's sheltered, just like many presidents. He's not unique in terms of living in a bubble. What does he consume in terms of news? What does he see? What does he read? It's what the present before him. His life is guided from.
You're saying the president is out of touch?
He's completely out of touch. His clay is out of touch. You ride on roads that will last forever. Which roads in the country? The roads are broken down. Even Abuja to Lokoja, they want to cancel the contract. Go to the east part of the country. You can't move from the north to the east through Enugu, through Kogi, and so on. Enugu, Onitsha, Enugu, Port Harcourt, everywhere is broken in the north. So I don't know who he's talking to, communicating with. I don't even know what they show him. Sometimes it's a very tragic situation for presidents, especially those who want to live in that bubble completely. Some escape the bubble. That's where you have very important people who are well-resourced and self-reliant as members of the kitchen cabinet. People who don't depend on you, who can tell you the truth. But when you have only people who are yes men and yes women, who will simply sing your praise, who live in that bubble with you, and who is going to be part of who are part of an echo chamber, this president speaks the way he just did. The roads are clean and smooth. They will last forever. Students don't even go hungry anymore. Nobody's out of school. This country is the poverty capital of the world. You have so many out-of-school children in this country.
We were.
Even now, we're still the poverty capital of the world. One of the most terrorized in the whole world. Maybe the list of the 5-10 countries terrorized in over 200 countries and territories. Nigeria is there. If you ask yourself, multidimensional poverty, recent statistics show that 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. From Buhari.
But is that the only story, though, Prof? Because the argument is that
it's not the only story.
That's not the full story.
It's not the only story. The point I'm making is that when you hear the president speak the way he did, sometimes you sympathize with the president, as maybe with other presidents, possibly. Because he's staying in the villa there. Your life is guided. Your life is tailored to suit a purpose. They don't want you to get angry and bitter with the kind of news you see, the shallow, the life of the people, the slum dwelling, the ghettos, the miserable life of people. Kwashiorkor is in the country, poverty is in the country, hunger is in the land. They don't have to show that to him. So he sees the picture of a highly performing, dynamic presidency who is really doing very well, and a few individuals actually are the ones attacking his government. In one of my appearances, I said, no, Mr. President, you live in that bubble with the 1%. Two Nigeria has emerged before us, only one and separate. If you go to Lagos, they will tout you Eko Atlantic, they will tout you Ikoyi, in Lekki, Banana. How about the Ageges? How about the show, the Shomolus? How about the Jagules? How about even part of Ikeji, even part of Apapa? That is part of the dying Lagos, the Lagos of the millions of the people. Then a few Lagos is emerging, where people transport themselves from the airport in Ikeja to Lekki by air. Air transportation, through helicopter. They don't even go through the land because it can't even pass through the roads. In Abuja here, too, Abuja has emerged of the people and of those who live in the bubble with Mr. President in the villa and the National Assembly. So when you hear him speak the way he speaks, sometimes, as I said, you sympathize with him because it is what he has shown as a president is what you see. But if you have an incredibly resourceful inner core team of those who are independent-minded, Mr. President, with due respect, we are not doing very well in social areas. Let's go and ask the people directly. Let us hold a town hall of the real Nigerians, not those you curate and sanitize and bring them to sing hallelujah. That is the problem there. That is why you find a spokesman of the president attacking the legacy of one president who has not even decided to contest an election.
Right. Byron Anogan, that tweet or statement did point out, said Nigerians have not forgotten some of the shortfalls of the Goodluck administration. I mean, the Dasuki saga is still pretty much undecided to this point.
The Dasuki saga?
I mean, the former NSA.
Listen.
The scandal.
Listen, the absurdity. The absurdity. I am not an expert in what they call legal and policy frameworks of governance. I wish my friend, one of my friends is here, who is an expert in that regard, to give you 2 or 3 government policies, regulations, and laws. And I speak about it, and I want you to tweet it out. You cannot investigate the office of the NSA, not even by any president. You may even investigate the office of the president more than the office of the NSA.
You're saying there's no oversight?
That is why it is constructed the way it is constructed. And those who are in the know, We give you the relevant. If I had known about this part of the conversation, I could prepare for that separately and give you the numbers. That if you look at what the law says about that office, it is even greater in terms of cover than when you talk about security vote to the state governors and the president.
But there's also the 2012 oil subsidies scandal, a case that was just recently closed, by the way. There's the Desani Alison Madueke scandal. So the question is, I mean, corruption has become part of the Nigerian story. Some would even say from independence to this day, we're still dealing with this issue of corruption. I mean, as big as it may seem, right? And when you talk about the Goodluck administration, the Goodluck years, yes, there might be some of the high points with regards to the economic indices, but what about that part of the story? Because I'm sure you're not saying Goodluck administration was perfect.
No government on earth can ever be perfect. But if you read the statement that Bayo Nanoja put out, it's like a savage job, a masterclass of savage, take down, to lure him into a contest in which he may not yet have made up his mind what to do about. You are using Prof. Jerry Ghana, to speak against the president who hasn't told you anything about his ambition, and dragged him into your fray because you're frightened about the prospect of his coming back. And then he went on to compare his own period of governance to what we have now as an inheritor administrator from General Buhari for 8 years and 2.5 years. It's a succession regime. The president hasn't shown any distance, remarkable distance from the policies of the failed policies of Buhari. He actually said in his campaign, mine will be an intensification, a multiplication of the legacy of Muhammad Buhari. And we knew what to look at those legacies are. So,
wouldn't that be twisting his words? Because I'm sure he meant that in a positive way.
In the positive way is that the president did well, the former president. That's why it's in a positive way. There are many positive things he did and want to build on. You and I know those positive things that Buhari did in education, in security, in fighting terrorism, improving the life, living out of the people, in being even hands-on in governance and not being, laid back, etc., etc. He knew all that. Maybe he played to the gallery to win an election or something, but they're going to haunt you because you have actually intensified it. You've taken what Buhari has done to a higher degree of intensity. You removed the subsidy he didn't remove. You floated the naira he didn't float. And those shocks of this macroeconomic disasters are still haunting the landscape. Yes, Jonathan wasn't perfect, but he was a liberal Democrat. He ran a... Democracy is key. Let me tell you about democracy and dialogue and conversation. Sometimes people look at the weaknesses of democracy and Democrats and said, we need strong men to drive this system. But he needed a Jonathan to have the unity fountain being open for the Bring Back the Girls protest that even saw him leaving office. Now it is gated by the DSS, locked down. Any attempt to even protest there, you'll be haunted. You have the cyber law that is being abused and misapplied. You have labor leaders being classified as terror financiers. You have political parties are being savaged on a daily basis. Actually, we hear that one of the strategic focus of this government is to ensure that no strong party like the PDP presents a claim that is credible to contest against the sitting president.
All right. And Prof, before we wrap things up, because we're completely out of time, let's factor in one particular individual that has not been mentioned in this conversation. And some people believe that he could make or mar what happens on the opposition side, especially if he decides to throw his hat in the ring, and that is Atiku Abubakar. Where do you factor in Atiku Abubakar in your calculations about Goodluck Jonathan possibly emerging as a candidate on either the platform of the PDP or the ADC? Because the Atikus, the Erufais are people who are laying the foundation for what's happening on the coalition side. How do you see this whole dynamic working?
You know the beauty of zoning. Some people say that zoning represses competence and efficiency. It is not true. I've given instances where I said in my village, we have many people, tens and tens of professors and hundreds of doctorate holders and engineers and so on. We can make a cabinet of a federal republic. Every village, every community, every state, every zone, we've got what it takes. But when it says zoning, it's a way of restraining the appetite for power among the elite. A southern emerged in 2023. He has to complete that tenure. Somebody has to complete that tenure till 2031. That's what saw Jonathan into trouble 2015, if you have to recall. That's why PDP imploded. 5 governors, Atiku, and then Saraki all left, not because of anything, but said, it is not your turn. So 2027 is not the turn of the North. That's why Bala Mohammed, leader of the PDP Governors Forum, governor of Bauchi State, said, Bala Mohammed said, no, I will put in hold my own ambition and let's get this thing zoned to the South. No Northerner will beat a Southerner in this cycle. Anybody, by name.
You're so certain about that.
I said, convene a town hall, not just a 30-minute conversation, a 2-hour town hall. And I will prove to you that no Northerner will get 10% in any of the 17 southern states. Because where do you have to get a number? The president has taken control of the apparatuses in this state. Only Jonathan and P2B will price these apparatuses open. No Northerner will do so because they said, if you don't have a Jonathan, for example, contesting an election, and you don't have a P2B contesting an election, many Southerners, even who do not like the president, will queue behind him.
Right.
I'm telling you, scholars, intellectuals. One of my friends, I won't name him, said, maybe stable incompetence may be better than unstable incompetence. That means to have somebody from where you're talking about there, we may have to go for the stable incompetence of the current administration. That means if you don't have 25% in any southern states, and there's 17 of them, where do you get the numbers to win? But you can have a southern candidate or a sitting president even commanding 5, 6, 7 estates in the north, whether you like it or not. That geography is no longer as monolithic as it used to be. So it is a complex mix of ethnicities, religions, geographies, and demographics. The implication is that it is easier for a southern president, a southern candidate like Jonathan or P2B to smash through the next election than a northerner.
So how do you see this arrangement working out? What sort of horse trading do you think it will take to dissuade all these other political actors who have the possibility or the potential of being spoilers if they are in the race?
Politics is art of the possible. Let me put it this way. Let me create a scenario for you. Deadline, 18th November, at the successful conclusion of the PDP convention, a new slate of leaders has emerged, vibrant, with energy and ready to roll. And former President Jonathan says, I will now throw my heart in the ring. I will contest this election. The first level of conversation may be with the southern frontier, maybe with the likes of P2B. Will he continue his own journey or not? Then from the north, they have to do the raw mathematics. How viable is a northerner? If you're not viable, why waste your time and your money? So you find leading northern.
Is it a question of? Is it a question of perspective?
Politics is art.
Depends on who you are.
Politics is art of the possible.
Right.
It is not an idealistic thing. It's not like a media conversation. These guys are rough guys. They want to spend the money where they can get the benefit. So if you look at the numbers and the numbers are not there for you, and if you look at the landscape and it's not for you, why waste your money and your time? If Jonathan emerges as the candidate of PDP, no Jonathan will waste his time.
Okay, explain it to me this way so that other people who are doing their own political mathematics will understand. If you have a Tinubu from the southern part of the country, be it southwest, and you have a Jonathan from the south-south, right? Probably, let's assume, right, for argument's sake, that P2B doesn't contest because Jonathan is in the mix, right? And then Jonathan enjoys the support, presumably, of the southeast, right? Yeah. And then you have an Atiku from the north. I mean, there clearly is no outright winner in this situation. But if you also factor in the voting blocks, if say for instance, right, presumably that every region is going to go with its own candidate, wouldn't that make Atiku likely?
There is no region as such in the north anymore. It didn't happen in 2023. It was the best time it could have happened for the PDP and for Atiku. It didn't happen. Don't forget that the southern from the southwest did almost as good as the PDP in the north in 2023. It may be worse in 2027. And the thing about the Jonathan challenge, the Jonathan ticket is simple. You are guaranteed one term from the south, which P2B has already said I'm going to do. Second, you have a liberal-minded president who is not going to force his will on the people, who will allow the north to make a determination who will succeed him. They believe the current president, the way he speaks and the way and manner he handles power, the way he talks about this Miloquism is such that he may impose anybody anyhow on them. So it is not a struggle for 2027, it's actually survival in 2031. Do we have the freedom to choose who will succeed us? Jonathan seems to provide that template to say, you do it yourself, whoever you bring to me, I will take. This other one has that impression, people have that impression that he will force this thing through. Look at the way the government is composed. The three, what I call the dominant hegemonies of power, presidential power is completely emasculated by one ethnocentric configuration. The financial apparatus of the country, well, that's in configuration. The Yoruba, it's clear. The security apparatus, the same thing. So the idea is that the government has become more insular, more diminished in terms of its national content, more restrained in terms of its ability not to see anything outside that zone of the self as against the other.
So when the president visits Katsina, when the president visits Kaduna, and we see not just the crowd, but some of the very positive commentary from political leaders in the north, are you saying that Nigerians should not believe that?
I tell you something, if we have the 1 minute to spare for this conversation, in 1979 or 1983, Adisa Kinloye was the chairman of MPN then. I don't know how old you are, or the MPN, National Party of Nigeria. Shehu Shagari was the president.
I wasn't around.
They were campaigning in Ondo State. Right. That was Ondo, not Ekiti, just the whole of the place was Ondo. As they were moving through Ondo, thousands of people were all over the place. MPN cards, placards, posters, banners, and so on, everywhere. Drummers. And he whispered to Akinloye and said, apparently we have done it. It was 1983. He said, our policies of the past 4 years seem to have been working. See the surge of the people. The man nodded his head and said, yes, Mr. President, you are very popular here. On the way coming back after the tour of the Southwest, it was either Aminu or some other person there, passing through the same window. The convoy was head up. He saw thousands all over. He said, is that what Aminu can do? And the same people are shouting for him. He said, yes, they're shouting for him. Sir, they shout for everybody they see around. On the day of the election, they know where to vote. So when you see people coming around, because the president has visited town, maybe there's money to share, maybe there's some possibly pure water, maybe there's some wrap of food, maybe whatever it is. Or maybe the leaders will browbeat them to say, come and show support. You see them come out in numbers, Sai Baba, on the election day. They'll tell you that this is where the
What about the conversation about electability? Because the last time we had this conversation in the comment section, a lot of people said, listen, good conversation, but anything else other than P2B, we're not going to buy into it.
Let me, you see, I can even address that.
Who is more informed, politically speaking? I'm using a football slang. Who is more popular, or who has the it factor at the moment? If you have to explain it to Nigerians between Goodluck Jonathan and P2B, who has the it factor right now?
Okay, now let me put it this way. I didn't call for this interview. It's not paid for.
Right.
I'm not offering nothing. I was in my end, and he called me and said, come and do this.
Right.
It's about Jonathan because of this statement from the presidency and so on. I wish you'd make that phone call and say it's about P2B.
Right.
I will spend 30 minutes, 1 hour to make a case for him that is as viable as President Jonathan if he picks up the ticket of PDP or any other viable party. Because he has a lot of things going for him. He demonstrated that in 2023. From nowhere, out of obscurity and the sense of even political anonymity, he burst through as an insurgent force and nearly won the election. Many still speculate that he may have won. I am among those, more restrained in my own, analysis of what happened during the election. But I said he will make a landfall, a very powerful landfall. Even this time, make a bigger landfall. So the same way I'm making a case for former President Jonathan, I will really make that case for P2B, who is, of course, for me, one of the most disruptive.
So you think any of the two works for you?
Any of the two will beat the current president. Silly, hands down. Whatever.
One-on-one, or if other people are also in the race?
Especially for me, if you have a contest of two, when you have an OB, and the Tinubu, face off, or Jonathan and Tinubu face off, it's a done deal. This president is toast. The next person, he will have to pick that phone call. Pick that phone and make that call. 2027, I've said it on other studios and said, the way President Jonathan reached that moral height, that sense of moral clarity, to say, I lost, you won. General Buhari, congratulations. President Bola mentioned we should pick that phone and make that call 2027, either to Jonathan or P2B. I lost, you won. Congratulations.
What about the parties? Because that's where most people seem to have problems with their prognosis, because the parties have a completely different view. The PDP thinks differently about what's going on with the ADC. The ADC is not even putting the PDP in its conversations. Do you think that could prove to be a stumbling block?
I am not, you have in politics the reality and then sometimes sense of fantasy. PDP was better in 1998. to date, is the biggest party in Nigeria, bigger than APC, in principle, in terms of its infrastructure.
I'm happy you qualified it.
I say, if President Jonathan, for example, were to pick that ticket, there'd be a sense of animation. It will be reanimated. In all those places, it may have fallen silent and dormant. In every home, including your house, your larger house of your parents and uncles and cousins, there's a PDP person there. Across the 36 states and FCT. You don't have that in APC, which was just a later day contraption. So ADC may have some big names, but it has not got an apparatus. Big names don't win election. Infrastructure does. That's why PDP, the target of this government is PDP. More than anything else. Almost as if the PDP should not have a candidate. It's a deliberate policy from quislings within the party, that is traitors within and powerful forces from the outside to say, if we dismantle this party, we're going to destroy it or decimate it or keep it in a state of confusion that it doesn't even have a viable candidate because a viable vehicle to take power. Mr. President will likely cruise to victory because they don't even have much time for ADC because they say, okay, there are big names there. Important big names who have made contributions as governors, as ministers. What is the spread? How long will it take you to build up this apparatus? How much money do you have to throw into this thing? In PDP, you don't need to throw it into it. In my house, in the village, I'm not PDP. But my other brother is a leader.
I mean, wouldn't the Peter Obi experiment that worked in 2023 with Labour Party work for the ADC in 2027?
It will not work because he's a uniquely different kind of person because of the attraction of the younger generation and the discontented members of the urban elite who see in him as a force of resurrection, national resurrection, who see himself as a force of transgression against the dominant status quo or the hegemony of the political order. He has come to bust through all that. Nobody else is going to do it, in that 2023. It's only President Jonathan now that people have a sense of attachment to what he did before, his stature today globally, and the sense that this government, that the previous government of President Buhari has failed the country completely.
And if you have to, give your own 2 cents about what comes next with the electoral umpire, INEC itself. The term of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu is coming to an end.
It's surely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there have been several debates lately about, the constitutionality of the president still holding sway, being the one in a position to nominate the next Independent National Electoral Commission's chairman. Do you share some of the concerns that have been expressed about who he might pick and whether that person could coordinate what many would hope to be a free, fair, and credible election?
The way I will put it is this, the way I will nuance it is this. It is not the problem of President Bola Tinubu if he picks the INEC chairman. His predecessors picked INEC chairman. President Jonathan did. I don't know whether Buhari did. He did with this last one. Yeah. And then Obasanjo did. I don't know whether Yar'Adua was long enough there to pick. So it is not his own problem. It is his right. As for now, in the law, even though we, of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, want that amended so the president does not have the power and authority to choose the chairman. But now he has. But what they do is that they try to find people who are credible. The first one, of course, was Justice Akpata. A justice of the appeal court or so, Supreme Court, I don't know, I can't remember. Then Gobadia was the Morrissey professor, pharmacology or pharmacognosy or something. Then they have,
one of the
Jega, right. Jega, a professor of political science and international relations. Then they find Mahmoud, another professor of the social sciences. You can see they go for people like that. But if you go for an outright partisan person, who is like a card-carrying member of APC, somebody who is identified by his track record and his history, not to be objective or fair-minded and so on, is a double jeopardy, a double tragedy. The first tragedy is that the president is nominating. The second tragedy is that the president has nominated somebody who obviously is going to be partisan inclined. What happens is that because you've not amended the law or the constitution to take this power away from the president, the parties therefore on the opposition must see INEC as an extension of the APC. You don't see that as an appendix, as an independent, autonomous institution that is going to deliver good results. See that ab initio and have your strategic focus directed on INEC as part of the internal environment of election, the police, the army, and the DSS and the judiciary as part of the external environment of power. That the only way this presidency, this government may likely try to swing something is by deploying INEC, deploy the security apparatus, and using all the levers of power of the state. The opposition must be mindful of this, and from get-go, you're not only mobilizing to win, You are equally mobilizing to do what neutralize these apparatuses, as difficult as it is.
Looking at how unapologetic you are about your opinions on the performance of the Tinubu administration, right? Do you think those concerns are legitimate?
My concerns?
INEC, I mean, some of the concerns that have been expressed about INEC in general.
Of course, they're legitimate. INEC has a lot of issues, you know. I mean, we can spend a lot of hours, discussing and analyzing those issues. But I just still believe that the Nigerian electoral system has undergone some transformation over time. When we started in 1999, I don't know whether we had, a universal, method of, identification for voters. If it was, I don't think it was biometric. Then we moved to the biometric level, which you take your fingerprint and then capture you. From there, we moved to card reader. From there, we added the beavers on top of the card reader. Now, iRev on top of the beavers. You don't have even that in the US. So it is not even these mechanics that will deliver free and fair election. Other things around, politics, mobilization, voter participation, resilient will of the political opposition, and determination of the people to protect their votes. All of them are very key and very important. Again, the judiciary too. Don't even overlook the judiciary.
So you think INEC is well insulated?
I'm saying that with all the problems of INEC, let us just not pretend that nothing has happened in terms of change. They have done some tremendous transformation. Right. There'll not be enough to say to guarantee free and fair election. The rest of the job has to be done by the people themselves to say, we know you, INEC, we're watching you. If in the past we didn't take you serious, we're taking you serious now. That means we are calling you out from day one. And we're going to mobilize our resources, our human capacity, our intellectual and media effort to ensure that INEC will behave properly the way it should behave.
All right, finally, Prof, take a look into that crystal ball of yours. What does the result look like? Would it be a landslide victory for either Goodluck Jonathan or Peter Obi? What do you think?
If the President Jonathan contests the election under the platform of PDP, or Peter Obi contests the election under the platform of PDP, it will be a landslide victory for either of them. I stake my reputation on it.
You think the vote count will embarrass President Tinubu?
It will embarrass the president and his team. And they know it.
Right.
And if you're a politician, if you have eye into Nigerian politics and you're listening the way we listen, we have our ears on the ground. We are seeing the tremors of the political earth. We are seeing the tectonic shifts in terms of people. We are seeing the trend lines. If you have all these at your fingertips, we know that this government is panicking. That is why they are determined to stop PDP on its tracks. But they will fail. Once the convention is successfully delivered and the presidents in the party are routed, and if Jonathan or Peter Obi picks up the ticket of the party, if they lure them back to pick up the ticket of the party, the president is toast.
The president is toast. Professor Udenta Udenta, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for the fiery analysis. I appreciate you very much for stopping by as always. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you so much for your time. All right, and that is it for our show tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics. We'll be back for yet another edition of the program tomorrow, live and exclusive on Trust TV. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.